There was no singing on the black and gold this week, but plenty of good notes being struck. There was no dancing on the black and gold this week, but plenty of hot steps in the ring. In fact, we've barely touched our dinner debonair because we're saving room for Halloween candy. This is NXT Graded. A triple threat theatre opens the show tonight. Tommaso Ciampa, Kushida and Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream has a cast on and that's low-hanging fruit, that. And he gets jumped by Tommaso Ciampa straight off the bat as he's heading his way down the aisle. In fact, a lot of this match is Tommaso Ciampa being very Tommaso Ciampa on Kushida and Dream. Just fast, high-octane battering from Ciampa. There's a weird spot halfway through this where we see Tommaso Ciampa do Willow's Bell on Kushida, but Dream is kind of hanging on to Kushida and he ends up taking one as well, which was a strange spot in this match, in an otherwise excellent match where all three guys just going for it. Kushida tries to wear down Ciampa's arm, but Ciampa's just not having it. He just keeps punching him away. The briefest of flurries by Velveteen Dream is cut off as well. We see Kushida getting an armbar on Dream outside the ring and ends up working on Ciampa's arm in the ring, only to be nailed with the Purple Rainmaker by Velveteen Dream for a near fall. End of this match comes with Ciampa looking to hit the fairy tale ending on Kushida, goes to knock Velveteen Dream off the apron, and Dream smacks him with the cast. This leads to Kushida landing a German suplex with a pin for the win. Ciampa is out at the end of this and Kushida celebrates the win. A- to get us started this week. Fast-paced excellence in the triple threat, and it keeps the Ciampa Dream thing ticking over. I feel like this is leading to Ciampa and Dream having some sort of knockdown, drag-out brawl where Ciampa beats Dream into a fine powder. I think that's where we're going. Undisputed Era are backstage. Well, it's Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole on an iPod on a tripod. Looks a bit like Holly from Red Dwarf from off of the 90s. They say that Adam Cole is getting stronger by the day. He'll be back soon enough. And tonight, Undisputed Era become tag team champions once again. Get ready, because the Rod and Barb Express is pulling into the station. I presume that the Tamina train has been delayed due to leaves on the line. Toot toot. Ember Moon's first singles match since her return is up next. She's in there against Jessi Kamea, who gets some cocksure offense in early on, but this is a showcase for Ember Moon. She's changed up her style here. She hits us with a couple of twists on some classic submission holds, including the crossface with a different positioning for the arms, which I thought was quite cool. The ankle lock, where the arms and the hands, the feet are twisted in a different way. And she ends with a kind of elevated STF for the submission victory. Following this, she gets dropped by Dakota Kai and booted in the heat. Kai has set her sights on Ember Moon. Giving it a C+, it was good. It was a showcase for Ember Moon, not much else to it. And it looks like we're off to the races with Ember Moon and Dakota Kai. I love Ember Moon's new style, though. I have to emphasize that. It's in a show like NXT where everything is so fast-paced. As Timothy Thatcher has proved, a slower, more technical style can make you stand out. And I think that's what Ember Moon's gone for here. Bobby Fish has been attacked backstage. He's on his way to the hospital, but it's all right. Kyle O'Reilly is stepping in to replace him in the tag team title main event. Whew! Scary moment there. Bronson Reed and Austin Theory going one-on-one now. There's been some back and forth with these two for a little while. This is Theory trying to get a look in here, but Bronson overpowers him. Ends with a tsunami splash off the top, clean as a whistle onto Theory for the 1, 2, 3. As Reed makes his way back, Austin gets the microphone and says, "I've done more in my career than you'll ever do. Get back here. You're not leaving until I beat you. Come back, I'll bite your legs off." Bronson Reed gets back into the ring. Theory tries to jump him, but ends up eating a Samoan drop and gets pinned once again. After the break, Austin Theory loads up his car and leaves, saying he quits NXT. See you later. B- for this one. Not much in the way of in-ring stuff, but I like the character development here. Big fan of Bronson Reed, just gradually pushing through. And the Austin Theory stuff is intriguing too. Very Maven and Shelton Benjamin from about 15 years ago, is it? 15 years ago, something like that. I'm very old. I remember that first time round. Legado del Fantasma taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott, Ashante the Adonis and Jake Atlas in trios action. Now starts with Swerve's housemates running roughshots over Santos Escapals in the early going. Eventually, they wear down Ashante the Adonis to Legado del Fantasma. He manages to get a hot tag to Swerve, who lights the place up, starts to turn the match pace around. Incredible spot near the end of this, where we see Jake Atlas nailing a Spanish fly out of the ring onto a massive crowd of people. Oh, it was a beauty of a spot. This just breaks down into chaos. Outside the ring, once again, there's Jake Atlas. He hits a rainbow DDT off the announce table onto Escobar on the floor. It looked mwah and beautiful. Back in the ring, unfortunately, Ashante succumbs to a Russian leg sweep dropkick combo for the 1, 2, 3. Giving this match an A-. Great six-man tag here. Just white hot from the get-go. Great storyline stuff being built through this. I genuinely feel like there's some foreshadowing here. Jake Atlas hitting that DDT onto Santos outside the ring. I wonder whether Jake is next in line for a shot at the Cruiserweight Championship. It certainly feels that way here. Thought the finish was a bit flat compared to some of the stuff they were doing in this match. Like the finishing move was one of the weaker moves that they'd landed throughout this one. But otherwise, excellent match this week. The Garganos are home and they have a homemade spin the wheel, make a deal wheel. And Johnny's not happy about it. He spins it twice. It lands once on Buried Alive and once on the casket match. And he's just adamant that he's going to get buried alive and chucked in a grave next week. Candice lands on Street Fight, which is a bit more her speed, so she's quite happy about that one. But there's a weird sense of like anxiety in the Gargano household about the spin the wheel, make a deal match. Everrise is taking on the Fury and the Fury. I don't know if they're officially called that, but Killian, Dane and Drake Maverick come out. And it's Drake to start. He gets beaten down by Everrise. The tag to Killian Dane comes and he clears house. But they work on his leg and they end up getting him into a half crab. Drake Maverick, who is being held watching his tag partner get hurt and get his leg broken down, just snaps, grabs the steel chair and just starts swinging at everything moving. The ref calls for a DQ as he gets into the ring and chases Everrise away. Killian Dane gets up, looks like he's about to clobber Drake for costing them the match. Drake, Granville fetch a cloth. He looks like he's about to clobber Drake for costing the match. And then Killian Dane is delighted. He said, that's brilliant. Where's all that been? Where's all that energy been? And then their music starts and progress here as Killian Dane hears the music, goes to shout to stop it, and then changes his mind and just leaves. Baby steps. Giving it a B this week. I enjoy the other stuff they've done a bit more than this. I thought that the rush to get the steel chair was a bit out of nowhere. I liked the element of it, but just seemed a bit rushed to get there. But I love the combo. You know, it's funny because you've got Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler as an odd couple tag team. You've now, as of Monday, got Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans as an odd couple tag team. But right now, the best odd couple tag team, and the only one I'm not that bothered by, are these two. They're just brilliant. Roderick Strong's been attacked backstage. Kyle O'Reilly is the only member of the Undisputed Era left standing, and he insists that the tag title shot go to the number 2 contenders, the Britam Brawlers. And they're like, no, I'll tell you what, how about instead you team with one of us and get the tag shot? And Kyle says no, and he goes to the hospital. So the main event has been changed. It is now Breezango defending the NXT tag titles against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Back in the ring, and Xia Li is facing Kacy Catanzaro. Before this match, Xia Li said this is the most important match of her career and she has to win. There's an air of desperation about Xia Li ever since Boa handed her that note a while ago, and we can't quite put our finger on why. There's an angst and an anxiety and a tension from Xia Li in the ring. You can see in the way that she's landing the kicks, constantly covering Kacy to try and get the win. But tonight belongs to Catanzaro. She does a roll up and gets a cheeky 3 pretty much out of nowhere after a couple of minutes of all right fighting. Xia Li loses her mind after this. She beats up Catanzaro. She goes to beat up Caden Carter as well. But here's Raquel Gonzalez, wipes out everybody and gets on the mic and says, hey Ripley, this is what I'm going to do to you next week. Big talk for Raquel Gonzalez going into her match against Ripley for Halloween Havoc. Going to give this whole segment a C. It was there. The Xia Li stuff I'm intrigued by. The match quality wasn't really there for me on this particular occasion. And the Raquel stuff was good as well. I'm intrigued by Raquel versus Ripley. If they just let these two go and have big, beefy battles, we're in for a winner. Cameron Grimes via Mackenzie finds out that his match next week at Halloween Havoc against Dexter Lumis is a Haunted House of Terror match. It's going to be cinematic, isn't it? Nice. Cameron looks very upset about this, whilst Dexter Lumis just pervs at him through a window. Give these two some cinematic goodness. They're such diverse characters. Like Loomis could pull off a cinematic thing really well. Cameron is so animated. It could be a highlight next week if you make it a cinematic wrestling match. It is time for Thatcher's Thatch Can live at the CWC. Love this, by the way. Those big screens they've got all around the Capitol Wrestling Center where the Thunderdome pre-recs are being aired. It all turns into like digitized shutters to look like a sort of Fight Club back alley type affair. This is a great little aesthetic. So it's Timothy Thatcher and it's Anthony Green from Evolve, or as he's being called now, Andrew. And Thatcher is doing what he's been doing in the vignettes, just sort of ground and pound, talking directly to the camera through the process. Anthony Green has enough of this eventually, and he goes for a takedown on Timothy Thatcher. Thatcher brushes it off and says, all right, you got some guts. How about let's get a referee in here? And then a match is scheduled between them both. And Thatcher just levels him, just batters him with punches and stomps, and then reels back with a half crab for the submission win. Thatcher very dominant in this bit. I'm giving the whole segment a B+. Really loved the Thatcher's Catch Can vignettes, and I thought this translated really well into the CWC. And I feel like with a segment like this, with Thatcher in the ring doing wrestling training, you could make a star. You could make somebody. You could make somebody who comes through and out-wrestles Timothy Thatcher. And off to the races you go. There's a lot in this. I liked it. And so we come to main event o'clock. The tag team titles on the line. It is Fandango versus the Brit Am Brawlers. Very down the middle match, actually. Both teams taking advantage, very much back and forth throughout this one. No one has a real clear advantage. Kind of steers towards Breezango when Tyler Breeze whips Burch's leg around the post. That gives them a bit of an advantage, but overall it's pretty split. They're brawling outside the ring late into this match, and Lorcan goes for a dive out of the ring, and Breeze flattens him with a kick and stops that happening. And then Danny Burch just turns up and just hoys Tyler Breeze over the barricade and into the blackness of the CWC, which is a fun little spot. End of this one comes with Breezango back in control. Fandango goes up to the top rope and gets pushed off the top rope by a mystery assailant. What's this about? As the referee is sort of figuring out what's going on, there's Danny Burch with a big old low blow to Tyler Breeze. They follow this up with the double team snapshot DDT. For the 1, 2, 3, Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch, new NXT Tag Team Champions. The mystery assailant gets into the ring, removes the mask, and it's only flipping Pat McAfee, isn't it? It's flipping Pat McAfee. Celebrating with the Brit Am Brawlers. New faction born. Even mocks the Undisputed Era's hand gesture at the end. That wasn't that was Doves, apparently. And that is how we go off the air for NXT. Tag title match, I'm giving a B to. I thought there was lots of good stuff in here. I think they've had better matches. I think Brit Am Brawlers I've seen do better work. I think their match against the UE last week was much better than this. I thought it was fine though. It was still good. It just wasn't the best they've had. And the finish was great. I love the fact that Oney and Danny are now in a pole position in NXT. Like they're right at the top of the tree. Because these guys have been grafting forever. I've been a big fan of their work for a long time. This is a good fix for the Ridge Holland issue. So we were going to get, I think, Ridge Holland and Pat McAfee. And that was a good little unit. That Ridge Holland, former rugby player. And Pat McAfee, sports analyst. That works. Ridge Holland's got injured. Okay, we can't do that. Technically, in kayfabe, injured by Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, you could kind of argue. So therefore, Pat McAfee going, well, these guys must be good if they took out my guy, so I'm going to get into bed with them. So it works as a thing. It's a nice retcon, and they can go again. And to see them in a pole position, I'm very happy about. And overall this week, I'm giving NXT a B. There was some great in-ring stuff this week. A great triple threat to open. The trios match was excellent. And the main event was good as well. Some good segments from Timothy Thatcher as well. Really loved that. And overall, not a bad show as we get set for Halloween Havoc next week. It is going to be utter shenanigans next week. And I, for one, cannot wait. If you didn't like MJF and Chris Jericho singing and dancing and being goofy and cringy, you're probably going to want to miss Halloween Havoc next week. If you did like it, can I recommend that you join me in watching it in fancy dress? Stay safe. Love you, bye.